In January 2020, the word is out. There is a mysterious SARS-like disease spreading from Wuhan around China to neighboring countries South Korea and Japan. Philippine Health Secretary Francisco Duque III orders the Bureau of Quarantine to strengthen surveillance of incoming travelers from China. Among the first being monitored,
it is currently investigating the case of a 5-year-old who traveled from Wuhan.
But authorities stopped short of banning incoming flights from China. On January 29, Duque is summoned to the House of Representatives. He says it would be very tricky if the Philippines singles out China for a travel ban.
If we do this, then the concerned country, and China in this case, might question why we're not doing the same for all the other countries that have reported confirmed cases of the novel coronavirus.
Citizens react and question why Duque is more concerned about diplomacy and why President Rodrigo Duterte is still focused on the drug war. On this day too, a man under investigation in the Philippines for the 2019 NCOV dies due to pneumonia. And the day after, they break the news. The novel coronavirus reaches Philippine shores.
I assure that the public that the DOH is on top of this evolving situation.
The first case, a 38-year-old Chinese woman who traveled to the Philippines from Wuhan. Duque now recommends travel restrictions from mainland China.
And that is why I will strongly recommend to the task force a temporary restriction of travelers from the entire Hubei province of China.
The World Health Organization declares the novel coronavirus a public health emergency of international concern, the sixth since 2009.
Our greatest concern is the potential for the virus to spread to countries with weaker health systems.
On January 31, President Rodrigo Duterte imposes a travel ban on Chinese citizens coming from Hubei province and other areas of China. On February 2, the DOH reports the first death outside China, a 44-year-old Chinese male who dies in the Philippines. The patient was the traveling companion of the first confirmed case in the country. On February 3, Duterte rejects calls to ban all Chinese from entering the country. This is also the first time the president speaks about the virus.
Sabihin magtanong kayo kung I will bar the Chinese from entering. The answer, of course, is no. Stop this xenophobia thing.
Duterte downplays the spread of the novel coronavirus to the Philippines.
Why do you have to be hysterical? Why don't you just go to the hospital and have yourself treated?
On February 4, senators grill Duque for shortcomings in leadership, but he points at the DOH Epidemiology Bureau instead.
Di ba dapat ngayon pa lang, for me, dapat Secretary, 100% na alam na ng mga pasahero na yon na they've been exposed to the virus.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be the first one to admit it's not easy to do this.
On February 5, the DOH confirms the third case of the coronavirus in the Philippines, a 60-year-old woman from Wuhan. The first case of a Filipino infected by the disease is also recorded, a cruise ship crew member of Diamond Princess. On February 10, Duterte says he wants the military and police to instill public order should the spread of the coronavirus worsen.
Alam mo kung hindi natin kaya itong putang inang idioto na corona ito, hinahanap ko, gusto ko sampalin ang gago.
On Valentine's Day,
When you do the flying kiss, make sure it doesn't touch your lips. And you also don't talk while you are delivering the kiss.
On February 26, the WHO says the Philippines shows COVID-19 can be contained since it has recorded no new positive cases for 2 weeks. The WHO spoke too soon. On March 6, after a month with no new cases, the DOH confirms 2 Filipinos contract the virus. One is a man who frequented a Muslim prayer hall in San Juan City.
There is no transmission to speak of as of yet because we only have one.
The following day, March 7, the DOH confirms local transmission. COVID-19 is loose among the populace. On March 9, Duterte declares a public health emergency but still rejects the idea of a Metro Manila lockdown.
They are there. Yung COVID-19 is here. It is a contagion. It has not reached the level of an epidemic in our assessment, and neither is it pandemic. Ang sa Pilipinas, wala pa naman masyado. We have to continue to open our doors. Tanginang virus na yan. Saan ba nakatira yan?
On March 11, the Philippines records the first local death caused by COVID-19. She is the wife of the 34th case who attended a Senate hearing on March 5, prompting several senators to quarantine. In a House hearing on the coronavirus, Duque admits that problems in the DOH reporting system caused the delay in confirming cases.
Yung pong sinasabi ninyong hindi nag-disclose, nagkaroon lang ho ng konting aberya sa reporting system.
On March 12, Duterte announces Metro Manila will be placed on lockdown.
For Manila, may ayaw namin gamitin yan, pero kasi takot kasi sabihin lockdown. But it's a lockdown.
Vice President Leni Robredo also addresses the nation.
Isadiwan natin ang layuning protect the vulnerable. Gaya ng lagi, ang mga mahihirap ang pinakaapektado sa mga ganitong pagkakataon.
On March 14, the day before the lockdown begins, thousands of Filipinos rush out of the capital region. Checkpoints are set up all over the metropolis. Labor groups slam what they call grossly anti-poor measures for workers during the lockdown. On March 15, the lockdown starts. In the Monday rush hour on March 16, no physical distancing appears to be enforced in public transports. Many pedestrians dodge temperature checks. Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri tests positive for COVID-19. He is the first high-ranking official to contract the virus. In the evening, Duterte announces the entire Luzon will be placed under enhanced community quarantine. It enforces home quarantine for all households with minimal exemptions for essential tasks and health workers.
Sabi nila, yung virus, kinokorek ako. I would like to pronounce it kasi galit ako. Sabi ko, saan itong virus na ito?
Philippine COVID-19 cases are now at 142. Officials say a patient has recovered from the virus, the first Filipino to do so. On March 17, at the stroke of midnight, the Luzon lockdown begins. With mass public transport suspended, it's up to local governments to provide transportation for those who must continue working. The metro sees empty streets, people rushing to get home, and traffic buildup around borders. Duterte pays a surprise inspection at a crowded checkpoint. The DOJ says police can make warrantless arrests for lockdown violators. Come evening, Duterte declares a state of calamity in the whole country for 6 months. The Philippines reports 187 confirmed cases of COVID-19 with 4 recoveries and 12 deaths. On March 18, a photographer takes this video of the deserted streets of Metro Manila. Midnight of March 20, Duterte warns local officials to follow all the national government's orders or risk facing administrative cases.
There is only one republic here, the Republic of the Philippines, I am ordering all LGUs that are doing this to stand down.
The midnight addresses continue. On March 25, President Duterte signs into law a bill that grants him 30 special powers to address the novel coronavirus outbreak, the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act. SOGDE Senator Risa Ontiveros calls it superfluous and prone to abuse.
Hindi naman kasi emergency powers ang kailangan o sagot sa pandemic, kundi political will. Political will para mag-conduct ng mass testing na hindi na ipasok sa batas, magbigay ng sapat na personal protective equipment o PPEs at hazard pay sa mga frontliners, which partly got into the law.
Hospital Makati Medical Center denounces Senator Coco Pimentel as irresponsible and reckless. The senator had gone to the hospital to accompany his wife who was about to give birth. Pimentel had tested positive for the virus but had been on quarantine before that. On April 1, some 21 residents of Barangay San Roque in Quezon City are arrested for staging a protest to demand help amid the government's lockdown. At midnight, Duterte orders police and soldiers to shoot residents, causing trouble during the lockdown.
My orders are sa police pati military. Shoot them dead. Tindan patay.
A few days after, on April 3, he hits human rights lawyer Chel Diokno for offering to lawyer for those investigated for social media posts related to the virus.
Ito si Diokno magsalita, parang janitor. Huwag ka magalit. Alam mo kung bakit hindi ka nanalo? Kasi kalaki ng ngipin mo. Magsalita, kalahati ng panga mo lumalabas. Bakit ganon? Binabastos kita. Putang inagalit ako sa iyo.
On April 6, Duterte says,
we are inclined to extend the lockdown up to April 30.
At pagkatapos ng kanyang announcement ay verify po namin ulit at ang sagot po ay ang enhanced community quarantine is hereby extended until 11:59 p.m. of April 30.
On April 16, 14 senators call on Duque to resign over his failure of leadership, but the president decides he should stay put. Later that night, the president offers his medical advice.
Usually, magkuha ka kasi ng doon sa patay, kunan mo ng dugo niya, i-inject mo doon sa kabayo. Pag marami ng antibodies yung kabayo, doon na kunin yung...
He also threatens to order the police and the military to take over if Filipinos continue to break lockdown rules.
I'm just asking for your disiplina, konti. Kasi pag ayaw ninyong maniwala, mag-take over ang military pati police. Parang martial law na rin. Mamili kayo.
Under this lockdown, the public face what some say is the legacy of the war on drugs.
Pero you're abusing your power. Hindi niyo dapat gulpihin ng isang tao.
Police brutality. It's April 19 and week 5 of the quarantine. It's been 2 weeks since the arrest of the San Roque protesters. This time, police barge into the Pacific Plaza Towers in Taguig City. On April 21, police accost former Army Corporal Winston Ragos in Quezon City for breaking quarantine rules. They claim he tried to draw a gun from his bag. He was shot twice in the torso and died in the hospital. On April 24, Duterte announces he accepts the recommendation of the IATF to extend yet again the lockdown in Metro Manila and other high-risk areas until May 15.
Tinanggap po niya ang rekomendasyon ng IATF na ilagay po sa patuloy na ECQ ang NCR, Region 3, Region 4A at iba pang mga lugar hanggang Mayo 15 po.
The lockdown is relaxed in low-risk areas, calling it a General Community Quarantine or GCQ.
If the funds are not sufficient, they will have to borrow. Then, if the borrowed money is not enough, then we have to sell the assets. Yung cultural center, maraming sinong mayaman dito na pargawain niyang mansyon. Iyo na yan. Magsalida ka araw-araw dyan, mag-isa.
In the same speech, Duterte threatens he will impose martial law because of what he calls communist lawlessness.
Kaya, I am now warning everybody and putting notice sa armed forces pati police. I might declare martial law and there will be no turning back.
Kuya, please! What are you doing?
On April 26, police enter a home in Dasmariñas Village, Makati and assault Spanish citizen Javier Salvador Para after he got into an argument with policemen. The law enforcers tried to fine him 1,000 pesos for allegedly allowing his house help to water their plants without a face mask within the boundaries of Para's property.
Kuya, you're in our house! You're trespassing!
Please,
Help! Help! Kuya, may sakit! Kuya!
On April 27, authorities arrest fish vendor Michael Rubuya along Panay Avenue in Quezon City for defying the Enhanced Community Quarantine or ECQ.
Hindi namin kinukonsinte. Masama bang kumuha na ano? Lahat tayo, we have all the rights. Hindi bawal ang kumuha. Pero you're abusing your power. Hindi nyo dapat gulpin ng isang tao.
Dozens of policemen celebrated the birthday of Metro Manila top cop Debold Sinas on Friday, May 8. The National Capital Region Police Office or NCRPO documents the early morning celebration on its official Facebook page. Photos of the event show the cops and Sinas wearing face masks except when they were apparently eating, but still too close to one another in violation of the government's prescribed physical distancing rules. Police Chief Archie Gamboa says,
walang parting nangyari, ang sabi ni General Sinas. Probably nagkaroon ng manyanita. No? Pero doon sa manyanita, ang sabi ni General Sinas is that inobserve pa rin nila yung mga social distancing. Now, I don't think na meron namang violation ito, no?
Interior Secretary Eduardo Año says the birthday celebration is, quote, a big no-no. Sinas apologizes after news breaks out. He also says the photos circulating on social media were edited and from old posts. The original post from the NCRPO page has been deleted. In a move to stifle independent reporting, the NCRPO removes Rappler reporter Rambo Talabong from its official Viber group after he wrote about the issue. Rappler denounces this as prior restraint on the freedom of press and the right to free speech. Filipinos online call out the administration's double standards in implementing laws and policies during the coronavirus pandemic. In his newspaper column, retired Justice Antonio Carpio writes, "It is in times of grave crisis like the ongoing pandemic that our freedom of expression is in danger of being sacrificed in the altar of public order." In an opinion piece, survey firm President Mahar Mangahas says the lockdown lacks pandemic logic with unnecessary restrictions on personal movement. He adds, curfews and checkpoints do not make sense, adding these promote crowding. He concludes, what is truly essential is for the people to be able to freely earn a living. On May 12, authorities announced the ECQ will be replaced by a modified enhanced community quarantine in Metro Manila, Laguna, and some areas in Central Luzon from May 16 to 31. Cebu City and Bandawe remain in ECQ. Under a modified GCQ, local governments can allow the limited resumption of public transportation. Certain industries can operate at half capacity, and persons may leave their houses only for essential goods and for work. Physical school classes will remain suspended. It's been a long 8 weeks since the lockdown was imposed, one of the longest lockdowns in the world. Officials estimate the country temporarily lost 1.2 to 1.5 million jobs, but experts fear there could be more. Some from the urban poor say they fear death from starvation more than the disease. The economy shrinks for the first time in 22 years by 0.2%, but it's just the beginning. Economic officials and analysts say the worst is yet to come.